Middle Eastern countries you just would not feel safe going, or just completely uncomfortable going there telling jokes? What countries?
For now, for me, Egypt.
Straight up. Like, would you go to Afghanistan? Would you go to Iraq? Would you go to Syria?
Afghanistan, no. Syria, no. Iraq, no.
Would you ever?
It's funny because he's a comedian and he's, Arab himself, I believe, but even he knows he can't do certain jokes in certain countries because, they won't have it.
Perform in Israel?
No.
You would not?
No.
Why? They would accept you.
I don't accept them.
You don't accept Israel, the state of Israel?
No, I don't accept them taking care of me getting in. That's no problem. The problem is when you go in Israel, it's not about going in Israel or not. It's that the fact that they really show you a terrible time. You go in the security, they treat you like shit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've been invited by Palestinians a lot to go to there. And so, I would go to you, but, I don't want to deal with the border control of Israel. It's just because they humiliate you.
I think with Israel's border control and stuff, they'll obviously prioritize their own people. Then when they see your Arab trying to get in, I'm assuming they'll be a lot more difficult and, uptight on it.
Because they're trying to wipe them out, aren't they?
You could say, I guess I think obviously at the same time as well, they just maybe don't like the Palestinians generally, like you said, for whatever reason. And make life hell for them.
And that's because you're Arab, or that's because
I'm Arab.
But they have 20% of their population is Arab. They're not leaving.
Yeah, but they're treating them like shit.
Not according to them. I've seen them. I've met them.
I met them too. I mean, they don't have. Do you talk about the 20% of Palestinians?
I'm talking about the 20% of Israelis are Muslims, are Arabs.
Yeah.
If given a choice to move to any other Middle Eastern country, given the state of circumstances of the Middle East, they would choose 100 times out of 100 to stay in the democracy of Israel. Why don't they leave?
Have you talked to them about their healthcare and their schools? Because they're about 25 Arab cities that they don't have hospitals or schools. They have to take
in Gaza and the West Bank.
No, I'm talking about inside Israel. I'm talking about Arabs with Israeli passports, fully fledged Israeli citizens. They don't have a single cinema, they don't have a single hospital, they don't have a single school in their cities, and they have to go to the Jewish states in order to go there. There are many, 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 many daily microaggressions against the Arabs who live in Israel having the Israeli passport.
I believe the school thing, because even in the UK, growing up, I grew up in an area that's very multicultural, shall we say. But even then, there's a few private hidden schools that are Jewish schools within those areas. And they've got their own security, and you can't go into these schools whatsoever unless you're Jewish. And they're not open to any other race other than their own. And so I can only imagine what Arabs, despite having the Israeli passport, because whatever reason they were born there or whatever, I can't imagine how hard it must be for them to try and, get into these schools and stuff. They won't allow them because their
bloodline is Arab.
Yeah, they'll look after their own people. Yeah. I say, if you're Arab, regardless if you've got an Israeli passport and stuff, they're not going to let you in the school. Same way they do it in London. London's the most, multicultural, one of the most multicultural countries in the world, and they don't let anyone else but their own do that, go into their schools.
There's a place in North London, and I remember I drove past there, and it was literally a Jewish community, and they had their own hospitals, their own police force.
They look after their people.
Which is really good. They proper unite, and it's literally just their own. And I didn't see any other form of race or, ethnic background within that area.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how they move.
Even within the Israeli community, you have slurs. Like Arabi Malukhlakh, which actually that's their N-word. They're, I can go on and on and on.
But slurs are going to be everywhere. In America, where we're all equal, there's slurs.
Yeah.
Every day I get called a dirty Jew. You think I'm crying?
No. But every day here, if you find someone's like nigger, that would be,
basically 200 years of America.
Exactly. But when you have one part of them is much more stronger, and actually control the other one, and all they do is slurs, because the Arabs cannot do slurs against the Jews.
So why don't they leave?
Well, some of them actually, because it is basically, it is between like a rock and a hard place. Yeah, the whole idea about like Arabs living a wonderful life, they're living good life compared to other Arab countries, which is a really low bar. And the fact that like can use like a low bar to sell and at least they're happy now. It's like I'm living here because I don't know where else to go.
I appreciate you saying that, because the bar in many Middle Eastern countries is very low.
I'm not coming here to defend any countries.
I know you're not. I'm asking what countries you would go on tour.
I'm just saying that the security and the equality that Israel wants you to think that they have it between all of their Arabs, it is not true. They have something called zoning committees, where you as an Arab coming in to get an auction, to get a house in a Jewish town, you will not be allowed to take it. And it happened more and more and more before. It happened in Nazarit Elite. It happened in many cities that I actually talked about. There was like an auction where they found that most of the people who are getting the houses were Arabs, and the city canceled the auctions. And they canceled the auction saying that we want to preserve the city of Tarshiha as a Jewish, Zionist, secular country. So I don't know how Zionist and secular and Zionist come in the same city. So,
what's your thoughts on that? Like the Jewish people kind of not allowing any Arabs even buying any of their properties or anything.
It just shows they just want this to be a Jewish country. That's all they want. Like, as you've mentioned before earlier, they take care of their own. And I think that is a really good thing. But in terms of not allowing others to have an opportunity within your country, that is such a horrible thing to do. It's like someone coming to London.
Yeah, and having
you don't have a British passport, you don't have this, that, but you're not allowed over here. You're not allowed to get a property or whatever. It doesn't matter.
With, like you said, they do look after their own, but I feel like, imagine how hard it must be as an Arab who lives in Israel to not be given any opportunity whatsoever. Like it's not even, they even said, Bassem, Youssef even said about the zoning communities, which means they put you in a community that basically says you're not one of us. That's basically like separation in a way. And just the fact that exists shows like they just want their own people to excel in their country, which is, I get, but at the same time, these people
it's selfish.
Are part of your country. Yeah. Like, if not, why did they have why did they get the
Why
passport?
do they have an Israeli passport?
You should literally
why
just
were
say,
they given an Israeli passport in the first place?
You might as well say no Arabs. Like, you might as well literally just do that.
It's interesting too what question you're asking, right? Because like I'll sit there and if you want to read this real quick, I'll sit there and I'll talk to my friends in California. And I'll say, hey, California, this, I hate California. I hate this. I hate that. I hate this. And he said, why don't you leave? I can't leave California. Why can't you leave California? Well, because my family's here, my unit's here, my kids are here, my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, got it. But I hate it here. I wish I was living in Texas or I was living in Florida, whatever, okay. Some people here, I can't believe, da-da-da. Okay, why don't you leave? Well, I can't, this, that. We lived in Iran. We left, lived in Tehran for 10 years. And I went to school there till 5th grade. I read, write, Farsi, everything till I left. And I went to Germany, right? I lived in Germany for a year and a half. And then we finally get here. Like, holy shit, we make it to America, right? It's like a dream. But the people that, it's not the people that can't leave that give the argument of why don't they leave. It's the people that can leave that choose to stay. Why do you choose to stay? Like, I'd love to have a room full of 50 people who are Arabs who can choose to leave Israel. Why are you not leaving? Make sense? Just to kind of get an idea. What would you say? Why are you not leaving, right? If you have the ability to leave, you can go to a different place. Why don't you choose?
Why do 2 million people in Gaza being bombed every single day for 100 days? Why don't they leave? Because that's their land. Right? So you can be living in a very shitty situation, but you will not leave because you know that you're not going to get back again.
I like that. It's true because, that's a really good statement. I've never actually thought
powerful
that.
Statement.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
They're getting bombed. by, the
They're not leaving.
Israelis, and they're dying, their mothers are dying in front of them, and they've not left.
They're there praying. That's what they're doing.
But they're still there getting bombed and getting slaughtered.
Exactly.
I guess it's easier said than done in a lot of cases,
And just because you don't like a country, you might not even have the finances to go to a whole new country. You don't know anybody over there. You don't know how that country runs. It's not just moving to a different town. You're moving to a whole new country.
And there's a process behind it. You can't just pack your bags and go.
I'm sure there'll be, You have
to be accepted by, especially if you're going to countries in Europe and stuff. I'm sure there's a big process. But yeah, you can't. It's harder. It's easier said than done.
You can't just walk to another country. Hi, can I live over here, please?
There's those people living in Gaza, 2.2 million people. They're living under subhuman conditions. They could leave. As a matter of fact, everybody pushing them to leave through Sinai and said, "Oh no, we will not leave because this is our land." Sometimes you get connected to the land, and it doesn't matter how bad. So to answer your question, why don't you leave? Because that's their land.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Arabs in Israel, but
because they consider that still their land.
Yeah, but there's so many different ways we can have this conversation. But everything for me comes down to...
Did you see how he just brushed that off?
Yeah,
I'm talking about the Arabs in Israel.
Yeah, this is.
He just brushed that off. Oh.
Socioeconomics, okay? To me, I'm always wondering, why is the Palestinian plight at the forefront of the news? Right now, we're starting to see Yemen in the news. People don't realize for 10 years there's been a civil war with the Houthi rebels, Saudis, Sunnis, Shiites, Iranian-backed militants killing each other. Never in the news. Syria, tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people murdered. We know what's going on in Iraq, what's going on in Afghanistan. This is not an anomaly in the Middle East. But in my opinion, humbly, with all due respect, what's going on in Gaza is the equivalent of BLM in the States. What do I mean? So, black on black crime. Every single weekend in Baltimore, in DC, in Chicago, you name the city, there's black on black crime. Let one cop kill a black guy, George Floyd, national, international news. In the Middle East, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, you name it, Iraq, every day, Muslims are killing other Muslims. A lot of it is Islamists, fundamentalists. There's no marches, there's no protests, but Israel defends itself after October 7th, and I've seen you condemn Hamas for October 7th, but you've also sympathized with the Palestinians, as you should. But all of a sudden, that's the biggest story in the news. Why the distinguishment? Why can't Muslims say...
There's a difference between comparing conflicts, civil war, and then allowing another country to bomb you from the sky every single day for 100 days. You cannot compare the both. And
this guy...
Yeah, he's good, man. He knows his shit.
How are you comparing crime on crime to ethnic cleansing?
Yeah.
These people, they're deluded.
Now, I'm glad it's Bassem who's kind of frontline.
Bassem is speaking for us all. He's saying exactly what's in our minds right now.
And it's good. He's the voice of us.
Yes.
So I'm glad he's representing it.
And actually, your tone of voice, when you say, oh, there is like black on black, Arabs killing each other, in your undertone is saying, yeah, they don't deserve to live, so let's Israel kill them.
0%.
This is exactly what you're saying.
No, that's not what I said.
No, this is what I'm saying.
I asked a question, you're reading into my tone.
You have absolutely no sympathy for the Palestinian killing because
that's not true at all. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, seriously.
I 100% have sympathy.
Your entrance into this conversation is extremely racist because you say, well, Arabs have been killing each other. First of all, the Arabs have been killing each other. These are called either proxy wars or civil wars. But this is different because America is not standing behind Saudi Arabia voting every single UN resolution like Israel. Israel is killing Palestinians and nobody can do anything for them in the UN or the Security Council. Right? You can talk about how Saudis are killing the Houthis or the Yemenis or how Iran. But when they go to the Security Council, America doesn't use the veto. You know how many vetoes did America use since the inception of the Security Council? How many?
Tell me.
88. How many of those were they used in order to protect Israel from a veto?
0.
56. Oh. The superpower of the world over 50 years used more than 65% of its veto power to protect one country. You cannot compare both.
So why do you think that is? Why?
It is quite mad because obviously, as we know, America is a superpower. Everyone fears America when it comes to, warfare. And they're proper, full-on, providing all the tools and resources Israel needs for the situation with Palestine. And it's scary. Palestine, all these Arab countries, in terms of warfare power, they can't compare with America. They don't have the funding, they don't have the technology. America's ahead, and Russia.
Britain, Russia.
I don't know. I think Russia's.
No, they sided with.
Yeah,
Palestine.
they've helped a little bit, but in terms of America, they're really involved with Israel.
Yeah.
And how can Palestine compete with that kind of warfare power, nuclear power is practically impossible for them.
And then when the Palestinians go to defend themselves. It's a terrorist
they're
attack.
Terrorists, yeah. As bad as it, that's what they get called, terrorists for it. It's crazy.
Why is Israel so aligned with Israel? I'm sorry, why is U.S. so aligned with Israel over Gaza?
I don't know. I mean, there's like a million.
Ask yourself.
There's a million. Why? So why?
I want to know.
Tell me, because they're white like them. Are they allowed to?
Who's white?
Well, I mean, a lot of Americans consider Israel is the white.
But you know for a fact.
I know.
Most Israelis are Sephardic and are brown.
It's the perception.
So it's bullshit.
It's the perception.
Exactly.
It's a perception. So this is how Israel promotes itself. We are we are a democratic country. I have never seen a secular or democratic country that would actually give contraception shots to its own citizens, to their Ethiopian Jews, and make them not to reproduce. And until 2013, they have confessed doing that. They have been doing this for 10 years. That is not a democratic country.
That's mad. So they're stopping them from having kids because they don't want them to grow in their nation.
I came across that in Instagram. The Ethiopians that are born in Israel, they've got Israeli passport. They give them, like he said, a shot where they can't conceive.
That's sad. So
because they don't want...
Because they want their own, that's it.
Yeah. And they want it to look a certain way. If you think about it, that's so sad.
That's really sad.
Never heard a secular country, a democratic country, that would kidnap little kids from Yemeni Jews in 1950 and then take them away and then tell their parents that they die. And they did that in order to instill Semitic DNA in their population. That's why DNA testing is not allowed in Israel.
So are you pro-Islam? Are you anti-Israel or both?
I'm not pro anything. I'm pro humanity, man.
Why did it say pro-Islam?
That was so he tried to do a little trick question, and if Bassem answered that as I am pro-Islam, or I am anti-Israel, he would have looked terrible. So he came with a very good answer and said, I'm pro-human,
But
humanity.
why did he class Palestinians as Islam?
Yeah, because he wants to link it with terrorism.
I know. That's why.
That's what he
but
tried.
Does he know that there's Christians and Jews that live in Palestine as well, though?
Well, maybe he doesn't. God knows. But he's obviously, as we know, when the word Islam or Muslim gets involved
it's linked with terrorism for some reason in the Western world.
So he's obviously, he tried it there. He tried it.
So am I.
It doesn't matter my religion is. I don't care, actually, and I can give you 100 things I can tell you about Islamic countries that they do wrong. But what happens is right now is that the people who are bombing people every single day, they are not Yemenis, they're not Houthis, they're not Saudis, they're Israelis. For 100 days, they have dropped almost 3 nuclear weapons on an open-air prison, and all because of Hamas. Dude, if ISIS was already there, you have no excuse to kill 30,000 people.
You can't say words like nuclear weapons when it's not true, Bassem, and you know that.
The equivalent of 3. No, I can't.
So now they're dropping nuclear weapons? That's what you're trying to sell me on this one?
I said they're dropping the equivalent of 3 nuclear weapons.
So how many people have died in Gaza?
30,000 people.
Okay, according to Hamas. Obviously, UN gets their number from Hamas.
So
but
do you have a number that you trust?
No, I don't have any number that I trust, but I'll take your word for it. I don't think that sounds...
So how many?
Hundreds of thousands of Muslims have died in the Middle East.
How many people in Israel died in October 7th?
According to the numbers, 1,200. But
according to who?
But the numbers are still being counted.
According to whom?
According to the IDF.
Oh, but I don't trust the IDF.
Whether you do or you don't, those are the numbers that we're working.
you can't the people reporting it are obviously pro that country, so they're going to make it look worse to make it a more of a retaliation. They say 1,200, it could have been 200 or 100. We don't know, obviously, but can we trust the IDF to give accurate information? Same way he's saying they can't trust Hamas to give accurate information. But it's just, man, you can't win with this situation. Yeah, it works both ways.
Well, I'm giving you 50,000 people died, and you said you don't trust them. So who do we trust?
That's not what I said. I said according to Hamas.
Yeah, but
so whether I believe the numbers,
when you say according to Hamas, it's the undertone that you don't believe the numbers.
With all due respect, you're missing my point. 30,000, other than the Hamas fighters, because I will stand to kill these people. I hope 0 civilians die, but we know what happens.
But they die.
Of course,
every day.
But let's go back to my initial question. No. Let me ask this question, and then you can take them.
How do you think how many?
But what about the 100? 0.
Should we stop?
0.
But they're killing it.
Okay, but that's not my point, Bassem. My point is this: 30.
How many?
Can I ask the question?
Their limbs?
Can I ask the question, and then you can have the full response? Why is this issue at the forefront of the news when hundreds of thousands since 9/11, 5 million plus people in the Middle East have died? 5 million. 5 million versus 30,000. Where are the marches? Where are the protests?
You haven't been around. No, you just haven't been around.
No, but I also read the newspapers. I see what's going on.
Because there has been marches against what's happening in Yemen. There have been massive marches against what happened in Iraq.
If you ask the average person, they couldn't tell you that there's a war in Yemen.
There is a difference.
But if you ask the average American, they know what is exactly going on in Israel.
Here's the thing. These mental gymnastics where you want to divert people to other conflicts, these conflicts are proxy wars. These conflicts are civil war. Terrible, horrible. Civil war. There's been civil war happening in all kind of Asian and African country. The only difference is that is a foreign country invading another country, like exactly Russia invaded Ukraine, and then everybody is sitting there. All they ask is ceasefire, because one of the people in that conflict is a country that has been financed, given money by the U.S. It is considered as part of the free world because they are secular, because they are democratic, and they are committing war crimes every single day under the eyes of the United States, of the UN, and the Security Council. And that is why it is different.
Fair enough. So civil wars are totally okay. If it's a civil war, don't look at those are people.
He didn't say it's okay. He said it's different, and it is different. You know, if there are people fighting if the country are fighting to sort out civil matters, that's their way of getting a message across. It's still not okay, but it's the way they need to deal with it.
But when another country's coming in and trying to ethnic cleanse, wipe out the whole country, that's a whole different topic.
That's another conversation, which is what's happening. Same with Russia and Ukraine in that sense.
And then what happened? The Britons came along.
Always. Yeah.
Let's house.
Love to get involved.
I have nothing against it. I think that's a good thing. But we should take care of our own as well.
Exactly.
But when it comes to the Palestinians, let's just turn a blind eye to that.
Yeah. This is what's happening right now.
People just
Did
doing
I
their
ever
thing.
say that civil war is okay?
But you basically equivalized. Let's have a civil war. 5 million people die across the Middle East.
Yeah, it is terrible.
It's no big deal.
Usually the civil war is really supported by like two proxy people, and they're like killing each other, and it's terrible, and they're trying to do it. And at the same time, those people are not just like killing them. They're killing them, wanted to push them out, openly saying that we are going to push the Palestinians into the Sinai. Basically, that is my country. All right?
The only people shouting for the river to the sea are the Gazans.
Well,
Palestine will be free. So what does a free Palestine look like?
You know what's the difference between regular people in the street shouting from the river and the sea? Mm-hmm. These are regular people that are carrying flags in the street. You know what's happened on the other side? You have government official like Bitzail, like the Minister of Finance. You have Ben Ghafir, who is the Minister of National Security. Both of them, by the way, were arrested many times for acts of terrorism against their own country.
Wait, these are Israeli prime ministers?
These ministers.
Not the prime ministers, ministers of certain.
Yeah.
So do you mean to tell me that Yahya Sinwar, who's the head of Hamas, or Mahmoud Abbas, who's the head of the PLO, they're not politically saying from the river to the sea? So if we're going to use that equivalence...
You didn't even finish.
Go ahead.
So first of all, you are comparing a militant group, a terrorist group, with a secular democratic country. This secular democratic country that I'm telling you about, they have ministers coming up with a map of greater Israel behind of them, and they openly talk about them, which is, by the way, if you don't know, the greater Israel map is from the river to the Euphrates, including part of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, and of course Palestine. So that is the official talk of the official ministers. So you want to kind of ignore this, and you go after random people in the streets with flags saying from the river to the sea. Don't you see that comparison is a little bit
Well,
off?
it's not just random people. It is Hamas, who is the governing body of Gaza.
Hamas?
But the
Hamas
point of a democracy, what do you mean?
Hamas, at the end of the day, they're a militant
Gaza.
group. They're a militant group. They're ISIS. You don't take them seriously. Militant group.
Don't take them seriously. They're the leaders of Gaza, Bassem. They were elected in 2006, and as your joke said, a 30-year...
2006, when nobody actually was alive by then. Like now, like people there, how many people were alive?
50% of Gaza was not alive in
so
2006.
if you did an election right now, they're not going to be the rulers of Gaza.
Yeah, but you didn't do an election. That's the point.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because basically they kicked out Fatah and the PLO, and they're running the West Bank.
And Israel didn't put them under blockade and kick the shit out of them.
There is an argument to be made there. You think that I'm saying that Israel is completely innocent? Do you think I would say that the U.S. is completely innocent?
I feel like he is what he's saying. Yeah,
he is just trying not to make it bait. That's what he's saying.
That is what he's saying.
You say that
we had a debacle in Iraq. We had a debacle in Afghanistan. There's no perfect country. There's no innocent country.
Listen, this is what you do. And when I say what you do is what America and Israel and all of this, like let's kill them all.
No. You've already put words in my mouth. You've called me racist. You're saying that I want to kill everybody. I've said none of those words.
You kill people and then you ask questions later. You kill people, you ask questions later.
Isn't that what Hamas does?
America did. Hamas is a terrorist group. You are comparing Hamas. Every time you compare Hamas, I'm bringing you Israel and America, which are supposedly democratic countries. Hamas and ISIS and whatever, these people are not like good example.
It's true. You can't compare a terrorist group to America or Israel, like where they're using proper governors and proper, senators. You can't compare a terrorist group with official countries. It's like saying, I don't know, a terrorist group from the UK has broke free and they've become like this governing body. Like it's a terrorist group, and you shut them down and that's it. But you can't compare Hamas's rules and ruling to
compared to a
USA,
whole country.
Like Joe Biden and all this shit. Like it's different levels. It's like
very different levels.
It don't make sense.
And they don't have that much power as opposed to US.
Yeah,
either.
nowhere near. They can't compete. It's madness.
Examples, right?
I agree.
So when you tell me Hamas, all right, fine, Hamas, horrible people. Let's talk about the leaders of the free world.
That's it.
America, they kill first, they ask questions later, and the result: Afghanistan and Iraq.
Disasters.
They kill.
I'm not going to argue with on that one. Disaster.
Israel kill later, and then the result: what's happening in Gaza and what's been happening to Gaza. There's no justification for Israel to kill 30,000 people right now. And all the thing about October 7th, many of them. Can you tell me where are the decapitated babies? What are their names? Can you give me the names?
You want me to go over every dead, decapitated Israeli baby's name?
I think that story was refuted, wasn't it?
It was refuted many times.
It wasn't real.
And it was the biggest story.
What's your point? That Hamas...
He just said it ended up being not real. So I didn't know that. If that's official, then that's quite fucked up, because for them to say that is a big statement to make, and then to find out that that's not real, then why would that statement even be made in the first place?
That's what Piers Morgan kept saying to him about the babies that died.
Yeah, I remember. No,
I think he said it to Andrew Tate or someone, but then when Bassem said to him, the babies, he'll say to Bassem, I never said that.
Yeah, but it's clear he did many.
Yeah,
and he said like 4 or 5 times.
He said it so many times.
So has it been proven, guys, in the comment below, if it's actually been proven that it's not been true? Because if so, that's really messed
This
up.
is why Bassem's saying, I'm not going to believe what IDF is saying.
Because they're making up the rules.
Apparently, Israel done it to their own people and made it look like it was Hamas.
The IDF were shooting their own people
because it was
Hamas.
The Jewish ceremony.
Yeah.
How did Hamas know that the security is going to be down that day?
Don't know.
I mean, what happened on that day is not right.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
But it just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It's just a bit weird. Why would your security be down because you're celebrating?
There's a lot of holes in the story that needs to be filled. That's what it is.
Hamas didn't kill babies. They didn't kill women.
What I say, if you have
There's hundreds of people kidnapped by Hamas. What's your point?
No. They're kidnapped. Yes. In fact,
you're saying that 1,200 people weren't murdered?
If a terrorist group would decapitate people, if terrorist group would burn people, you know what terrorist groups does? They terrorize. They will show them off. Like ISIS, they were burning people in cages. All right? We will not find about the atrocities of rape or about decapitating from other sources, because a terrorist group, by design, terrorizes. They would go in with their GoPro, they will show you the babies that they decapitated. They will not gonna hide it's like, oh my, we didn't do it, because terrorist groups does that, right? Remember ISIS, when they were burning people in cages, they like to promote their terror because the terrorist group wanted to terrorize the public. We have not seen anything of that.
That's one of the most naive comments I've ever heard. We've seen videos, countless videos, of them gang raping women and then blowing their head off while they chop off one of their breasts. We've seen these videos.
No, you haven't seen it.
Well, are you fucking crazy? Of course we've seen these videos.
You haven't seen it.
We've seen dead bodies littered all over kibbutzes.
I've not seen a video or anything like that. I've seen a lot of videos of the bombings in Palestine and stuff, and that was all over social media and Instagram. I've seen nothing about
I've seen hostages, Israeli hostages, come out from under Hamas. They're all fine.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Smiling.
Well. And they actually thanked them because they were unharmed.
I've seen videos of Israeli soldiers shooting little boys.
Yeah.
No, that's a whole... And they're laughing about it. Soldiers.
That's messed up.
Who you're meant to put your trust in as, you know, the protector of your country.
This is the problem, though, isn't it? The people that are protecting aren't really got best interests at heart for everyone. It's just their own.
You have read about it.
Okay.
And I can
go watch the video. You're choosing... This is selective ignorance. This is selective ignorance. That's like me saying...
This guy's got selective ignorance.
That's like me saying, of course Israel's not bombing indiscriminately. No, they have. And I'm at least willing to own that. And I'm not Israeli. I'm American.
By the way, I'm not defending Hamas. They did...
But you are equivalent.
But what I'm saying is all of these like decapitating babies, that is wrong. That never happened.
Okay, it was only a few.
A few? How many?
Dude, I'm not there on the ground. So what's your argument?
We have pictures.
Let's be clear here.
We have
what's your argument? That they didn't decapitate one baby's head?
No.
So what are you saying?
I said that what the Hamas did was terrible, but it was inflated by things to make it emotional, to think that it's okay to kill all of those people.
It was inflated. So it wasn't 1,200? Well, how much was it?
I don't know.
Okay. So Israelis' numbers are inflated, 1,200, but the 30,000 from Hamas is not inflated? You're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
As a matter of fact, according to Israel...
Someone's getting emotional. Someone's got an emotional response. He's getting personal. Well. Yeah, he's getting triggered, mate.
Survivors, they said that many of these casualties happened because Israeli...
he's breathing really hard.
Troops came in and indiscriminately killed everybody, including the hostages.
That's the first time I've heard that story. I've been covering
because you are not covering, because you have not listening to the survivors from the Israelis.
Every morning I read credible sources, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, Bloomberg. Okay, so what are you reading? Hamas.com? Like, where are you getting your...
Fake news, as Donald Trump says. Fake news.
I listen to Fox News.
Even Trump calls out his own news people in America.
Sources.
Haaretz.
Okay, Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper.
The Time of Israel.
Yes, of course. I read those too.
They have actually brought
I've never heard them say one time that 1,200 people were not murdered. Not in one paper.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said many of those numbers that were killed, they were killed because of the indiscriminating interference by the Israeli troops, and many of them died because of...
4 people were killed that way when they tried to rescue the hostages.
No,
the fact that you're trying to equivocate 1,200 people...
Was it 4? Was it 4? Could it have been a lot more than 4? And maybe they reported that was just 4 to make them look good. You never know.
You're late in the game. You're late in the game. There was a woman that whose name is Dalia. She came out on an Israeli podcast and she said that everybody in the kibbutz were died. And then we went out and we said that the Israeli tank, the one that fired on the whole kibbutz.
This is bullshit stories. You think the IDF is just coming in and just spraying down kibbutzes? That's like saying American troops are just coming into a conflict here and just spraying down fellow Americans.
It's called the Hannibal.
It's
called the Hannibal.
That's what they're doing.
Look it up.
Yeah, we'll look it up. But I think
that's the thing. See, like the mindset is when you put it in perspective as imagine American troops doing that to Americans. It's like so crazy. You can't even process that thought in your head. Like it's just madness. But then it's happening in these countries. So it's like it's because because they're very selective of what they show in the media. They have control. It's very controlled. Same way they control, the people in and out of their country, their schools, giving contraception pills to the Ethiopians. It's all controlled. You can't get away with it. Imagine hearing America is giving contraception tablets to like Chinese, black, Arabs and thing because they're not American. that would be like
Or
the
not
biggest like story ever, and people will go riot for that and be crazy. But it's happening in Israel with proof and
Nothing.
and it's normal.
Blind eye.
No one's even cares about it. I've only just found out about that now. That's the first time I heard about that. That's crazy. So it's so controlled. You just don't know who to trust, like in terms of the information let out, and it just don't make sense.
And as they mentioned as well, with the whole giving contraception shots to the Ethiopians, that's been happening for many years. It's only just come up now.
So how many Ethiopians have had that and not a word has come out?